Welcome to this video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Supermicro computer. Now, if you don't know what they make servers and super high computing software for companies. They mainly do in service, which is mostly linked to AI and other cloud-based services. Now, as you can see, of course, here recently we did have a death cross. That is this big red line. And I'm going to take a big look at the graph. As you can see, recently we've had quite a tumble from all the way up from 120 all the way down to 40 where we are trading now. And this is because they did have some unlucky financial scrutiny that didn't go over well because of some poor financial management, which is also a big reason why they took a tumble, especially around here when they were all the way down in 15. Now, of course, they also have a stock split here, 10 to 1. So yeah, that is of course nice. You know, once a stock split happens, that is usually quite nice for the stock itself. Now on this, I'm going to be doing a bit of an SMA analysis. Also, I'm going to take a look at the RSI. Now, as you can see here, over the past year and a half, as you can see here, it has exploded quite hardly all the way up from $20 all the way up to 120 at its peak. And then ever since then, it has tumbled, nearly losing all of its gains. At one point, it did lose all of its gains right back here, which is quite unfortunate. And that was even after making a successful earnings report. Now, recently we did have this poor earnings, and that was quite poor timing. As you could see, it was trading upwards again, and then we have this where they earned 12.7% less than anticipated, which is quite poorly. Now, in the RSI here, you can see this is a pattern I don't like a lot. It is trading up and down insanely much. There is no strong pattern within the one channel of the RSI. It is only downwards. Now, of course, if you don't know what RSI is, it is the relative strength index. If it's above 50 and below 70, it's in the upper channel. If it's below 50 and above 30, it's in the lower channel, which means this means downwards and this means upwards momentum. And if it breaks out to the top, of course, that means it's overbought, and below it's oversold. That is why we often see spikes happen shortly, as you can see here. Shortly spiked, then back down. Same as here, as you can see, it was trading quite a lot lower. We did have this breakout down here. So yeah, it was trading quite lower, and then it rebounded, of course. But as you can see over the larger graph, it is spiking up and down quite a lot. Over here, as you can see, we are trading much more in the upper graph of the RSI, much more after we gain positive here, but again, it is quite bouncy up and down, which is quite a bad technical signal, because that means just that the volatility in the stock itself is extremely high. Now, if we take a look at some of their earnings, as you can see, sometimes they do well in earnings, 15% above. This was 23% below estimate, and then we have 2% above, and as I told you before, it's 12.7% below right here. Now, the next earnings is in 49 days. Now, if you take a look at some of their income, they are actually making money because they sell hardware. So, unlike a lot of software companies, they actually make money because they produce the server in which data centers will put on the AI, and also because their servers are very good at super high computing, which can also be good at quantum computing later. We do not know this yet. This has only been hypothesized. So, if we learn that out later, it's gonna explode quite a lot, I personally think. So, yeah, they do make money, which is a lot of other companies in the sector within the supercomputing, they really don't. But of course, that is because these people make the infrastructure behind it. So people need to build AI centers, they need supermicro computers, and the other way around, of course. Now, as you can see here, the seasonals, some years they perform nice, some years they don't. Last year, as you can see here, they performed quite poorly, exploding all the way up. Oh, let me just make it big here. All the way up here in 300, and then ending the year with plus 6%. Now, overall, since 2020, it has had a nice year ever since. Some years, as you can see, plus 238%, plus 80% almost in 2022. And now, if you don't know this, but 2022 was a very bad year for the stocks. Basically, every single stock lost money in 2022. It was quite a poor year, to be honest. So that is very impressive. Now, if we take a look at a bit bigger, you can see some of the early years, it did lose quite a lot, 26, 29, 35%. But then again, we also did have 41%, 50%. So it's a bit of a interesting stock in that point that we have very few which are quite close to zero, as you can see here. Very few. They are always double digits. We only have 2010 and 2024 where it was small and not either quite high up or quite low down, which is quite interesting. And personally, I don't like that much, but of course you can't always look at previous tendencies to see how it is going to improve in the future. Now, if we take a look at the technicals here, as you can see here, it's a sell for the day, and for the month, it is actually a buy, and that's because it did have a bit of bounce back. I'm going to show you. As you can see here, it did have a bit of a bounce back, and it did even make a golden cross. And the death cross hasn't really established itself that well yet. Since the death cross happened, we have actually seen upwards trending, so that is why it is still a buy for the month, and the SMA lines are quietly close to quite bound quite close together, not like this where we see huge gap. So being quite close to each other is also quite a nice symbol. Now, as you can see here for technicals, another reason I think it is a buy, it is because it is relying on previous support lines. As you can see here, it is just on that, as you can see, previous bottoms, so it is trading a bit up. Now, if it is falling through this point, we would have to go, let me just make another line right here. We would have to trade a bit lower, about 20% lower, 25% lower, here at 30. So yeah, personally, I do, wait, that was wrong. I do like this stock quite a lot, simply because they built the hardware behind these AI data centers. So I think that it's trading way too low at the moment. Of course, the technicals don't say so, and I do trade a lot on the technicals. So personally, I'm gonna wait for a golden cross to appear before I'm gonna go into the stock, because I do prefer upwards momentum before. And this is the phrase grabbing a falling knife. Of course, if you grab it in the wrong end, it's gonna cut you. You might get it for cheap now, but if it continues on down, it might be a while before it makes golden cross. And as you can see, it might fall more and then make a golden cross when you might think it's trading lower. As you can see, it made a death cross here at 84, and then it made a golden cross here at 43. So sometimes they do fall more and then make a golden cross at a lower point. It could make a golden cross down here at 20. I don't know, because that's in the future. But yeah, I always trade on upwards momentum. Always. Now, the price analysis of this is actually quite varied. As you see, we have 2 strong sells and 4 strong buys, 1 buy and 5 hold. Some say we gotta go down a lot, and some say we gotta go up a lot. But it is actually within reason. As you can see, it's trading. Price target is $49 at the moment, and it is trading at, what is it at the moment? Let me see here. 39, so $10 up. Some say it should be more than half, to hit 62%. Some say it should increase up to 70. Personally, I think 70 might be a bit high because of just how unstable it is. Personally, I think it's gonna end the year about 55, 65 is my personal target for it, which I wouldn't mind seeing. If it can stabilize a bit more, I do think we might see after it trades a bit more, I do think a golden cross around mid-April is gonna occur, if we can, not maybe even sooner, if it stabilizes a bit more. But I think mid-April is probably gonna be the time, my prediction for the next one. And I think it's gonna trade a bit like this, just slowly up and down. We might, of course, see some pitfalls around when it's up around the early tops here at 65. So we might see it trading a bit more. Let me just make this graph a bit more readable. So let's say we trade up here. As you can see now, this line is in tow with the earlier top, and that is a support point. So maybe it's gonna trade back down after it hits that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's gonna break through that point, and then the stock price will explode. I of course don't know, but personally, I think it is gonna trade like this over the next year. Of course, I say the next year, so of course not in June, but I think we are gonna have to be in quite longer in the year before it even happens. So yeah, quite interesting at the moment. I do like the stock on a short-term basis, no long-term basis, also short-term, but I wouldn't own it at a short-term if I don't do already, simply because it's too unstable at the moment. You can also see that down here on the volatility curves. It did have quite a high bounce, and trading over 200% volatility, which is just insanely high. Now, if you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe.